This video is going to show a Finnish granny square, so have your hook and your yarn ready, and at your starting loop we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We're going to slip stitch into our first chain to create our ring. And we're then going to start our first round. Our first round will be double crochets into the center of the ring and then followed by 1 chain. So initially we're going to start with 3 chains. 2 will be our double crochet and the 3rd will be the following chain. So double crochets now into the center of the ring, yarn over and through, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain. Again, yarn over through the middle of the ring, bring up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, followed by your chain. Again, yarn over through the center of the ring, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and chain. So we're going to carry on until we have 12 double crochets within our ring. That includes your first 2 chain stitches, which are replacing the first double crochet. So when we get to the 12th one, I will be back. In my 12th double crochet, so yarn over into the middle of the loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're finishing with a final chain. This chain will then go into the second of the initial 3 chain stitches that we made, and we'll slip stitch into there. So that is what you're going to be looking at the moment. Okay, so we're going to now start on round 2. So we're starting off with 2 chains to represent a double crochet, and then we are going to double crochet into the chain space from the previous round, which is right by there. So that's our 2 double crochets to start off this round. We're then going to put another double crochet into the single double crochet of the previous round. Okay, so that's there. Going to work in our chain space now, which is here, and we're going to put 2 double crochets there. And again, here's our single double crochet in the previous round. We're going to put another one in there. And we're going to continue this all the way around. So you're going to have 2 doubles in the chain space, and you're going to have 1 double in the double crochet from the previous round. And keep going, and I will see you closer towards the end. So this is going to be my last double crochet in this round. So it goes into the chain space, and we're going to finish by slip stitching into the second chain made at the beginning of the round to complete it. That is the end of round 2. This is what you will be left with. You can already see it's really going to be quite pretty. You will have 36 stitches to work into, and round 3 we are going to be crocheting 4 triples together to create the flower work. So the first triple goes into the first double crochet stitch. We then put 2 triples into the second and another triple into the third, and so the last one goes into the third, and so on. We are going to start, however, not by doing a triple. We're going to chain 4. So this will act as our first triple crochet. So into our next double we're going to put a triple. I'm all fingers and thumbs tonight, I do apologise. So yarn over, pull through, 2, pull through, 2. Now we're going to stay there. Okay, now our second one goes in exactly the same stitch we've just worked in. So yarn over twice, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to have 3. Our fourth triple goes in the third, so we're going to put a final triple. Into this next stitch here. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then finally yarn over and pull through all 4, and that then gives the petal. Okay, so before we start our next cluster, we're going to chain 4. Okay, so our next cluster, yarn over twice, we're going into our next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over twice into the next stitch. We will be doing 2 triples here, and bring up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I missed that bit there. Okay, so that's our second triple, so we're going to do our third triple in the same stitch. And our final one is in the next stitch. And that's our cluster of 4 together. There they are. Okay, I missed that bit. So there's ours there. I'm going to yarn over again and go through them all. And again, chain 4. I'll show you once more with the cluster. So we're doing our treble, so you yarn over twice. The first one goes into the next stitch. Remember, we're not finishing off each triple before we work on the next, because we are clustering them together. So yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and leave the rest there. The third in the same as the second, hopefully you're working with yarn that is not splitting on you. And for our last one, in the next stitch. And we'll be doing all that all the way around. So there's your 3. We'll be doing it all the way around and ending with a chain 4. So I will meet you there. Okay, I have finished my last cluster and I have chained 4. We are going to finish this round by slip stitching into the stitch that closed our very first cluster. So slip stitch into there. So we are left with this. Now this round is where we're going to be creating our square form. So the first thing we need to do is chain 5. And then we're going to slip stitch into the bottom of that chain 5. It's going to leave us a loop, which will in turn create the corner. There's our loop by there. Okay, so then we're going to chain 5 again and slip stitch into the top of the next cluster. And we're going to end up repeating that for a total of 3 times. So there's 1, another chain 5, and again slip stitch into the closing stitch on top of the next cluster. Chain 5 again, and then again slip stitch into the top, which would be our 3rd one. I picked up an extra piece of thread there, excuse me a minute while I just sort that out. So slip stitching that. And again, this time we're going to make another corner, so chain 5, slip stitch to the base to make a loop like we did on the very first one. See, we've got another loop there for the corner. Chain 5 again. And we're just going to connect this all the way around. So every 3rd one, dear me, what have I done there? Every 3rd one is going to be a corner, so you'll end up with 4. Obviously, because we're doing a square. And it would be a very odd square if it had more than 4 corners or less than 4 corners. So it's just my yarn doesn't want to really be messing with me tonight. So again, we've got another 2 to do there, and then a corner, another 3 and a corner. So I'll catch you at the end of that. Our final chain 5 will be slip stitched to the base of the first loop that we made. So there's our first corner, second, third and fourth. Now because we're at the base of this loop and we need to be at the top, we're going to slip stitch in the first 2 chains. Now this is where I need my glasses because my slip stitches aren't really liking me tonight. But the first 2 chains we are then going to slip stitch into, so we get to the top of the loop that we had created, because we are going to be creating another loop on top of it. So the first 2 stitches there. So now at the top we're going to chain 5. We're going to miss the 1 chain and we're going to slip stitch into the next one so that our loop is literally on top of each other. See by there? So we're going to chain 5. And this time we're going to slip stitch into this bow by here, in between the gap from the 2. So in the middle, slip stitch there. Oops, that's me trying to do a single crochet, not a slip stitch. Just slip stitch into the middle there. Chain 5. So we have our final chain 5 that we are going to connect to the bottom of the first corner loop that we made with a slip stitch. Like that. So this is how the end of that round looks. So you've got 4 little corner loops. Now we're at the bottom of our loop and we need to be at the top of it. So we're going to slip stitch into the first 2 chains of the loop. If my hook decides to work with me. It's not liking the slip stitching at the minute, so you will have to just bear with me a second. I don't understand why. So slip stitch into that one. And before I made the video, I actually practiced this square several times and not once did I ever have an issue. So as soon as the record button goes on, it obviously doesn't like me. So it's 1, and that's 2. So we're now at the top of our corner loop. We're going to make another loop on top of it. So again, we're going to chain 5, 1, and we're going to miss the next chain right at the top and slip stitch into the 4th chain of that loop. So we have our chain on top of our chain loop on top of our chain loop. Okay, now we're going to chain 5 again. And we are going to connect this chain here. Now, I know that the written instructions say to use a slip stitch, but I found it looks better with a single crochet to the middle. So I'm going to do the single crochet. If you wish to slip stitch it instead, feel free to slip stitch it instead. It's not a problem at all. It's just I find that it looks better, and I prefer it to look nice. So there, and then chain 5 again. And again, single crochet to the middle of the next chain 5 loop. Chain 5 again. And again to the middle of the chain 5. And this one we're going to secure at the top of our corner loop. So again, it's going to be in the second chain, which is here. So we're going to slip stitch into that there. Okay, because we're at our corner loop again, we're going to do another loop on top, so chain 5. Miss the very top one, slip stitch into the 4th chain of that loop. So as you can see, we've got our corner loop there with a loop on top. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more chain 5 connections, and then another loop on top of our corner. And we're going to do that all the way around. So I'll see you in a minute. This is the final chain 5, which we've got to then connect to the corner, and we're going to do that at the base of the first chain 5. So that's going to be here. So we have the square now looking like a square. Because we are at the corner, we're not going to be starting the next round in the corner. So at this point, you need to fasten off. And you should have something that looks like that. Okay, so we're going to attach the yarn onto one of the bows on one of the sides of the square. Now when I say a bow, there's your loop for the corner. This would then be a bow. So we're going to attach our yarn there. Now with the tails, I leave fairly long tails so that I can sew them in easily enough. So I've attached my yarn into the bow. Now I picked the one next to the corner, but really you can attach it anywhere that you want. In every bow, we're going to crochet the same thing, and that's 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, 1 chain. Okay, now it does say in the instructions, I know people join in their yarn in different ways. Because I do it this way, I'm going to do the 2 chains as your initial double, mainly because that's what the instructions say, and it's just as easy to do that because we've attached the yarn, it would be really flat and it would look wrong. So it's much easier to add the 2 chains in. So there's my 2 double crochets, chain 1 and another 2. So I've got my 2 doubles, a chain, 2 doubles, a chain, and then we're going to do this all along. We are going to do it slightly differently when I get to the corner, so when we get there I'll tell you about that. So again, 2 double crochets. Can you see? Yeah, unfortunately you can probably hear my cat meowing. She wanted to play with the yarn, and unfortunately while I'm crocheting I don't I don't really want to, so I had to stick her in the kitchen. 1 and 2. Again, that's my 2 doubles, a chain and 2 doubles. So another chain, two doubles, chain, two doubles and a chain. Now this will be the last bow for this one, for this side. So again, 2 doubles, chain, two doubles and a chain. Okay, so there, and there's our corners on either side. Now we're at the corners, we are going to do something a little bit different. It's going to be 2 double crochets, chain 3, 2 double crochets, 1 chain, and we're going to just keep doing that. So into our corner now, so we're going to do 2 double crochets, and because it's the corner loop, chain 3, and then again in the same loop another 2 double crochets, and then chain 1. And because we're now going back into the bows on the side, 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, 1 chain all the way along. I will see you when we get to the end of the round. So we're back to our last corner loop. So again, it's 2 double crochets, chain 3, 2 double crochets. So there's my second double crochet going in. And of course, your square will look different in tension depending on the size yarn and needle that you're going to be using. I quite like working with cotton. I like to use cotton for a lot of different things. Really, I probably should have used a smaller hook, but just for ease for me, I used the 4mm. So that's our last double in the corner, finish with 1 chain, and then we are going to slip stitch into the second chain of our original double, where we joined in the yarn on the side. Right, that's that. So if you wanted to, you could make it a bit wider, just go around again, but that would be once you've sewn in and blocking. I'll see if I can, that is your finished granny square, and it's very pretty. It is very pretty. Okay, enjoy making it. Bye.